right, let's do this. Hi, welcome to the second video or first real video for Pages to Progress. I'm Vesey, and today we're going to talk about how you can take graphic organizers and turn them into manipulatives. Okay, so that is as easy as taking something that you already use in class, cutting it up, and let kids talk. So let's get into it.
Let's validate our use of these prevalent and powerful tools by tying them back to evidence-based research. I'm going to show you a simplified explanation of using visuals plus manipulatives, which is called the dual coding theory. You will see many examples, different ways to use them, plus how to create them.
So, graphic organizers, we all use them, we all know their value. Visual aids are super important. Manipulatives are super important. They're critical. So we're merging the two. We're taking a visual aid and then turning it into a manipulative. Let's talk about what that is, why our brains need them. Why does our brains need visual representation of concept?
The New Art and Science of Reading by Marzano frames the use of graphic organizers as a teaching strategy called concept attainment. You present a concept and guide them through the process. Students are actively engaged so they can understand and internalize the concept. John Hattie, a prominent education researcher, found that using graphic organizers can have a moderate to high effect size, or simply a significant positive impact on student achievement. What about our language learners? The SIOP model says graphic organizers can make content accessible to emergent bilinguals. It scaffolds the ability to comprehend complex ideas. UDL, or Universal Design for Learning, believes in multiple means of representation, especially for those with disabilities. Graphic organizers are powerful tools for visual information, and UDL encourages using multiple formats, including tactile or touch. Research supports graphic organizers. Today's strategy will be combining the power of visuals and moving them around.
So in essence, by me saying everything that I just did, you are using a strategy, graphic organizers, that all good teachers use. We know the effect size. We know that this is a very good effective strategy. This has a benefit for absolutely everyone in your classroom. The teacher's going to benefit, the struggling student's going to benefit, the language learner's going to benefit, the gifted student is going to benefit.
So we know graphic organizers are effective. How are we taking this known strategy just a little bit further? The idea of turning a graphic organizer into a manipulative simply illuminates the idea of how the brain processes visuals and uses manipulatives. Visual aids help simplify concepts and make it easier to understand. This part of our brain processes what we see. The middle part of our brain helps identify objects. Objects, in this context, are like Elkonin boxes, Legos to represent syllables, or base 10 blocks for math. Because our brains have separate systems processing verbal and visual information, using visual aids with verbal explanation engages both systems, which is called the dual coding theory. This leads to better understanding and retention of information. Now we apply movement to not only manipulatives, but we have created movement by cutting up the visuals. This makes abstract concepts more concrete, like grammar. The physical manipulation of objects or visual concepts helps internalize complex ideas. The use of visuals and manipulatives together benefits all. The teacher benefits by creating dynamic learning environments that meet diverse needs. Students can now access the content with alternative ways to represent the information. The brain is now thriving and thanks you.
Graphic organizers are used in different subject areas. English language arts, your Venn, your concept map, your idea map, your sequence, your cause and effect, your herringbone. Yeah. Math, fractions, time, the manipulatives that we use for counting, your 100 base 10 blocks. Science, there's cycles in science all over the place that are graphic organizers. The life cycles of the butterfly, the water cycle, right? And then there's the chain, the food chain. Social studies, there's the branches of government. social studies is built on cause and effect. This happened because this happened. I'm going to show you some examples that are very simple that you already have and all you need is scissors, to very complex that you can create. I'm actually going to provide you a whole list. It's sentence stems based on language proficiency. So that's down in the bottom too. Let's get started.
There are 3 different ways to leverage a graphic organizer. There is what I call a cut and move, or a cut, move, and talk, and finally, a cut, move, talk, or write, and curate. Here are some examples. The easiest and most convenient way is to simply cut and move for students to process their learning and understand the content. Students can cut and move the water cycle, cut and move in order to classify triangles. They can also cut and move syllable types. This will allow students to really map the formation of letters. They can even manipulate a sequence, process the 3 branches of government, move the famous hamburger for parts of a paragraph. This can be used in physical education or sports too. The second way to leverage this strategy is to use a cut, move, and talk. They are processing the content, but also building language. This can be for language learners, on-level, or gifted students. We're all academic language learners. Students write the way they talk, so build and shape the conversation, and they will naturally write in this way. Provide the sentence stems by language proficiency or complexity. There is a free copy of these sentence stems in the description box. Let's look at some examples. Here, students cut up a sequence graphic organizer about stars. They match the name and description, put it in a sequence, then produce language using a simple sentence structure. Here's the water cycle again, but using a little higher sentence structure. In the classification of triangles, students can use more comparative sentence structure. Even for our littles, they may not be able to write perfectly, but oral language is innate, so we can capitalize on this ability. When they begin writing, they have more complete oral language to work with. Now we're using more complex sentence structure. When students are talking, they are learning. The final leveraging of graphic organizers to manipulatives is to have students cut, move, talk, or write, then curate. Here they built a compound sentence, talked about it, wrote a compound sentence, then recorded themselves using it. Sentence level can lead to paragraph level. The possibilities are endless. Please share your ideas in the comments and let's build a community of honing our teacher craft.
So differentiation, there are different ways to make a graphic organizer work for any situation. And that's really, I believe, the crux of why education is so difficult right now, because we're doing a one-size-fits-all for every student, and then we're wondering why some students don't get it. Differentiation does take more time, but the benefits outweigh what you have to put into it. So you can use pictures and symbols only. You can use the words and sentences, a little bit higher level. You can do them as stations and projects. So here's an example of the expository pillar from Empowering Writers. If you're winging it and you take this or this and you have them cut it up, just give them an expo marker and let them mark on the desk. It comes right off, and let them process their learning. You can also have them record their responses in Google Classroom or other ways. There's all those ways you could do that. Flipgrid, yeah. Be sure to grab the click sheet I made you in the description, which has everything that I've talked about for you to download and use. If you have a lesson with a graphic organizer, share it. Share it in the comments, and I will make a video featuring your graphic organizer. And basically, just send me a graphic organizer like, I have this, this is in my curriculum, what could I do with it? Send it to me, and I'll make a follow-up video on what I would do. And be sure and let me know what the objective is, or the actual like depth of knowledge. Are we analyzing? Are we Like, what's the depth of knowledge? And I'll even try to differentiate the graphic you send me with different types, for different types of learners. I was in a luncheon just a couple of days ago, and we had a speaker, Carlene Thomas, lovely Carlene, and she had this graphic of a car, and then she kept adding information to, you know, how that car sort of, I guess, is a metaphor or an analogy for language learning, and, you know, how the wheels are our listening, speaking, reading, writing. I thought it was super cool. So I turned to the person next to me and I said, this would be an amazing activity to use with teachers to get them to understand, you know, maybe at the beginning of the year before PL. So that's just a way to leverage it even for adult learners. So if you are supporting someone, let's say you're a grandparent or a guardian and you're supporting a student at home and they have a graphic organizer that they have to fill out, figure out a way to cut that graphic organizer up and let them talk, record them talking about it, and submit that to the teacher and say, you know, this is another way that we worked through this graphic organizer. Students, advocate for yourself and say, can I cut this up? Can I have a copy, cut this up and talk about it and record myself talking through the graphic organizer? Definitely good for those with dysgraphia that, you know, can't fill out the graphic organizer, but they sure can talk about it if they have symbols and pictures. So another piece of differentiation that you can do to help kids with disabilities. It's definitely a good way or alternative to allow students to show what they know. Teachers, ask yourself, is the graphic organizer the skill? Because really you go back to what's the TEAC, or what is the objective? I live in Texas. What's the objective want? If it's about analyzing, then it's not necessarily about the graphic organizer, it's about analyzing. The graphic organizer is just a way to do that. My next video is sort of a spin-off from this video, which is about graphic organizers, but I've already got the next 55 videos planned out. I'm like super excited. But this video is a strategy to help anybody that has to write something, to plan it before they write it. And that is half the battle, any writing project. And this is two strategies that I sort of stuck together. We have empowering writers, which is the list, pick, and choose strategy. And then I have a Kelly Gallagher strategy, which is attack the prompt. So I took both of those, made a graphic, and you can easily take this graphic and cut it up to where kids can talk about it and then they can use it later. Guess what? We just turned another page.
No.
I shouldn't say that?
No.
Oh, man. I mean, I thought it was good. Teach grammar as... Okay. So let's talk about manipulatives. So that's just my own theory. It helps differentiate your instruction. As a I cannot say that word. Manipulative. I'm gonna call it a Manny, a graph-to-Manny. Graph-to-Manny. And what is that called?
What?
What is that called down at the bottom? The descriptor, the summary, the description. There it is. And definitely, because kids write the way they talk. Right now, it's like, totally. Like, actually, that's an 80s thing. They don't say totally. We used to say that. They don't say that. Oh, yes. You're so pretty. He says, inspire. Somebody's calling me. For them to show what they know. Did you hear the ice maker? There are like 1,000 sounds going on in my house right now. It's ridiculous. Mm.
Am I okay now?
No, you're not okay. I'm recording. 3 minutes, 45 seconds. The life cycles of the butterfly. Oh my gosh.